Who is that masked man? Well, he is Syrinx239, and he is also known as Rick. Hello, how do you do? Welcome to this YouTube channel. I hope it's entertaining for you, fun. I hope it's stimulating. I hope it's hilarious. It could be provocative, and it might even be titillating. The hope is for it to entertain. But let's talk about some music, some stereos, instead of talking about me, because the subject will bore you in a hurry. So, but stereos, not boring. So, here we go. This is a vintage stereo system. The golden era of hi-fi was when music really sounded good, particularly vinyl, that is, records made out of oil, producing sound from a diamond stylus, amplified through knobs and dials, circuits, capacitors, electronics, and going into quality speaker systems. Unlike your iPhone and your iPad, which hopefully you do Apple instead of whatever the rest of the stuff is, the dark side, the useless world of Microsoft and Samsung products. Not to offend, but you get what you pay for, so let's go with Apple. But I digress. Let's talk about this stuff. So here we have the PSX7 Sony turntable from about 1978. In its time, this was probably the best direct drive turntable that money could buy out of Japan. It was measured by the hi-fi magazines as the quietest, most silent turntable that they'd ever measured. I would stipulate that even today, you would struggle to find a record player with a signal-to-noise ratio as high as the Sony PSX7. And it looks cool. The tone arm is not carbon fiber, it's just some kind of composite. The base is some kind of composite. Back then, Sony was famous for TVs, and they made the best TVs in the world then, the Trinitrons. They just made stereo equipment for fun, to prove that they could make the best. That was just for fun. These are all out of Japan, of course. And the one remaining main piece of stereo that I have after my divorce forced me to minimize my collection and have a smaller man cave is the Sony STR-7065 stereo receiver. Again, one of the nicest receivers in its time. Largely unnoticed in the sea of Japanese receivers from that day. Pioneer, Sansui, Marantz, Kenwood, you get the point. All those are wonderful, and these went largely unnoticed. In terms of the tuner section, the radio, excellent, well known for some of the best tuner sections back then. Right now, from Hampstead, Maryland, I can pull in Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Emmitsburg, easily just with a crappy antenna like that. square antenna. This is without even a roof antenna. Nice receiver, tons of power. Pretty cool. And then I have a second turntable that I picked up at a church rummage sale for $10. It's a Technics direct drive quartz fully automatic turntable with one of the P-mount cartridges. And it rocks. It works perfectly. It's another direct drive turntable out of Japan with modern conveniences such as automation. Was never a big fan. I always liked manual turntables, but I have to admit, I do like the automatic features of this one, which work perfectly. Plays 45s, plays 33s, vinyl's where it's at. There's a carousel CD player down there that's Japanese too, and that works too. But let's focus on the analog. Nothing beats analog. So, this stereo system gets it done. Oh, I haven't talked about the speakers. I should never neglect them. I don't want to hurt their feelings. These are the EPI 100s from the mid-70s, from the early to mid-70s. This is one of the nicest bookshelf speakers from back then. They just sound really good. They do take some power, but in this tiny apartment, I can't even crank up my surfing music. I would get complaints, and forces would come down and attempt to discipline me. So, I am respectful of my neighbors. Fortunately, they like music, so they don't mind the guitar playing. But I don't want to go off on a tangent. So these speakers are really cool. They sound good. I got all this stuff except for that turntable on eBay, dirt cheap. I was going to sell this Sony turntable, but I realized no, it's just as a museum piece. It's stunningly beautiful and attractive. And what's in there for a cartridge? I think it's a Grado blue or black, solid, stereo cartridge, nothing fancy. Sounds good. Can I tell the difference between these two turntables in terms of sound? No, they both sound good. You can slice it up and dice it, but what's the point? Okay, so that's just a brief overview of the vintage stereo system. Music and sound are pretty much the most important things in my life. So what you have remaining after the downsizing post-divorce are guitars, amps, stereo, vinyl. There's some CDs around. And Frisbees. Okay, that's it for today. Have a good day. Eat good food. Get exercise. And don't let anyone tell you you're misogynistic, even though they want to.